It's like this. We live in claustrophobia, a land of steel and concrete, trapped by dark waters. There is no escape, nor do we want it. We've come to thrive on it, and each other. You can't get the adrenaline pumping without the terror, good people. I love this town.
Once again, Friday the 13th week continues here at the RyHo Talks About Nothing channel. I am RyHoMagnifico, and this is my review of Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. I guess I'll get right into it. Jason Takes Manhattan. As much as people don't have a whole lot of love for the Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, and would probably put them pretty low on their list of Friday the 13th films, I have to say this is my least favorite. And here's why. Kind of a cool premise, you know. Finally, they were like, let's take Jason out of his element. Let's take him out of Crystal Lake, and you know, put him in a new setting, which is a good idea, really. Especially at this point where he's got 7 movies beforehand. Although I guess Part 5 is not really on the lake, but anyway. And also not really Jason. But just poorly executed. And I won't say that it's any, like, the director's fault, Rob Hedden. I think he had enough vision and enough ideas of stuff that he wanted to do with the movie. I think it's the production value and the money that they had to make it. I think they decided a lot of stuff prematurely and then realized we don't have the money to do this shit. So the movie definitely suffered as a result. So in Jason Takes Manhattan, we pretty much have kind of a cool intro, I guess. It's a boating sort of incident that runs amok that sort of reinvigorates Jason once again by electricity and while he's underwater. Sort of goofy though. I mean, the chances of that happening, this guy's like up on the boat scaring his girlfriend with a Jason mask on, and who does he wake up? But anyway, doesn't matter. That sort of shit doesn't matter in these movies. The problem with it is you have this sort of weird storyline where you have this young woman who is, it's like it's a graduating class, and I guess this is sort of their yearly routine that they go on this boat trip to New York, sort of a cruise after graduating high school, which is pretty sweet to go on a cruise to New York. I mean, what the hell? I was lucky to have, like, I don't know, a prom and stuff. But anyway, so all the students are getting together, and there's one young woman who, she, in the past, has had this sort of incident where she almost drowned in Crystal Lake, and she saw some sort of apparition of Jason, which none of this is ever really explained well enough, which I think hurts the story. But she saw like a young Jason sort of pawing at her, and as a result, maybe she has these flashbacks and images of Jason that don't really make a whole lot of sense all the time, and I guess as a result, she's sort of sheltered. But she goes on the trip anyway. Her uncle, who is her guardian, is like the principal of the school, or he's a teacher or something. Anyway, he's sort of controlling the trip. So they're going on this cruise to New York, and the idea is supposed to be Jason Takes Manhattan, so it makes sense. But he gets on the boat, and that's the majority of the movie. It's Jason takes weird little cruise ship en route to New York. That's the movie, because he's sort of stuck on this ship with a big group of, like, graduating high schoolers that are drinking and doing coke and all kinds of weird shit's going on. However, that is the better part of the film. Some of the kills in there are alright. Nothing special, but they're okay. It's the part of the film that I like the most, I guess, out of the whole thing. When they get to New York, it's even sillier. He's somehow managed to sink the whole cruise ship. They get on a dinghy, and they happen to make it to New York somehow, just sort of paddling blindly, you ask me. But anyway, and you get a couple of shots of New York, and you get the idea you're in New York. But the majority of the film is in these, like, background, sort of, like, nasty-looking alleyways and stuff like that. And if anybody knows anything about the film or anything about the area, this is not Jason Takes Manhattan. This is Jason Takes Vancouver City. The whole thing is filmed in Vancouver, except for the shots in Times Square and some shots of, like, when they get to New York, you see, like, Lady Liberty and stuff like that. So the majority of the film is, somehow he manages to not only walk underwater, whatever he does, swim, whatever it is he does to get there, but he gets there after them. And in the entirety of New York, somehow hunts them down and chases them down to kill them. But again, that shit doesn't matter. It's Friday the 13th. Get past it. But he does. He chases them down. Nothing special going on there either. Mediocre kills. Again, more of this confusing seeing him as a boy, flashback things from Rennie that just don't make a whole lot of sense. I guess that's the biggest problem. It just doesn't flow as well as the other ones. Even though the other ones had poor storylines and stuff like that, this one just doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of... You're watching and you're sitting there like, what the fuck is going on? And, you expect more of him running around. There were so many opportunities they had for him to run through different things in Manhattan and, fuck people up. And instead it's just he messes with some punk kids and chases down some people he had on a boat that he was trying to kill for whatever reason. That's all I can really say about it. I guess I have to add this. The look of Jason is awful in this movie, and I think that's one of the biggest deterrents. And as much as you're having a hard time understanding this whole flashback thing that's going on, for some reason they end up in the sewers of New York, which apparently get flooded with toxic waste. Who would flood it? Why is there that much toxic waste? Why would you flood the system with it, like, nightly? Why is it like this timed event? The whole thing just doesn't make sense, but they decide they're going to hit... The toxic waste is going to come through this, sewer that they happen to be running from Jason in, and he gets caught in it. And when he does, his mask gets knocked off, and he looks like... This is what... Pumpkinhead Jason is the best way to put it, because it almost looks like he has these, like, edge teeth, just like you would carve into a pumpkin. His face looks ridiculous. And he sort of melts away from the toxic waste, which I guess would be the most definitive kill on him. But, like, again, when he dies, you see this weird version of him as a kid, like, laying there. It's like, did the monster die, and now the child within is free? Is there some kind of weird thing going on there? None of it explained very well, and none of it executed very well. And again, I don't think this is Rob Hedden's fault. I think he had some great ideas and could have executed them better. There is some storyline back there that could have been done better, as well as all the effects and all kinds of things. But I think they were plagued by not having the money. So again, it's Jason on a cruise ship, and then Jason takes Vancouver, which is an interesting story because, and I don't know if people know this, I noticed it anyway years ago, and I don't have anything to back it up. I should have probably researched this first, but I just thought of it. If you're Canadian, you know about the show Danger Bay. Sort of a popular Canadian show. They used to be on, like, CBC, I think, when I was a kid. And it's just sort of this, I think he's a conservationist or something like that, like an earth science kind of guy, and it's the whole show is about that sort of thing. That's the theme of it. And there was this one episode where I can't remember exactly what was going on, but there was a plant, and there was this young girl involved, and she had a boyfriend, and her boyfriend worked at the plant. I can't remember the whole storyline, but there was two guys in it, and there was the boyfriend, like I said, to whoever the girl was in the storyline, and another guy that was his friend that both worked there. And the two guys, like, when they filmed this movie, like I said, in Vancouver, they must have just one day were looking for some extras or people for the show, and we're like, we'll take those two guys right off the set of this movie, because it's the guy at the very start with the fake knife and the mask, who is the boyfriend of the girl, and the sort of Asian-looking guy that's one of the heroin junkies. He's with them, and they're dressed exactly the same in this episode. Like, they must have honestly just been like, do you guys want to work for the day, and then we'll shoot your stuff at night? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. So they did this episode of Danger Bay. I swear to God, I remember it vividly. I haven't seen it in years, but I remember that very much because I had seen this movie and recognized them. So that's my little weird tidbit, I guess, for this movie. But in the end, just didn't like this movie that much. The kills don't keep me interested. The storyline doesn't keep me interested. There's just nothing about it that's that great, and then you don't get much payoff in the end. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Jason Takes Manhattan, Part 8. Easily not my favorite, but part of the series, for better or for worse. And although I wouldn't recommend watching it if you're not really a big fan, actually I can't not. You should see them all just because there's a great series of movies here, and you might find something redeeming about it. You might like it. I'm just giving you my opinion. So I would say, though, I don't like it. I think there's a lot of detractors from it, but that's the movie in a nutshell. Jason Takes Manhattan. Anyway, guys, I'll cut this one off because I talked about this one for longer than a lot of the good ones. But I'll see you tomorrow for some more Friday the 13th goodness. And I guess that's it. So, peace.